Watch and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight I wanted to discuss a soundtrack to an episode of a show that I love, or perhaps the score for an episode of a show that I love. And that show in question would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the episode in question would be the musical episode from season 6, Once More with Feeling. Now, originally this was released on CD a little while after the episode had aired back in the early 2000s, and I was fortunate enough to pick that up at my local HMV, but I eventually lost that to the girl that I was dating at the time when we broke up. She ended up having that record, that CD for some reason, and I never got it back. We didn't break up on bad terms or anything, but it does seem that regardless of how you break up with somebody that you're dating, but whatever they have of yours is theirs, and whatever you have of theirs is yours. I ended up with a pink sweater. That was nice. That really worked out for me, and a whole bunch of chapstick. Oh, fuck. A whole lot of Hello Kitty chapstick in particular, too. And she ended up with the Buffy CD, as well as I think she got one of my old Friday the 13th sweaters too. So I think in the end I kind of got the short end of that stick there. That kind of sucks. But in the past couple years, they have re-released it on vinyl, and that's this here. It's probably going to shine a lot because I didn't bother taking the plastic off it. But this was amazing. It's done like it would have been done had this been released back in the 50s, and it looks absolutely stunning, and it sounds great, of course. Vinyl being uncompressed audio, obviously it's going to sound better if that sort of thing's important to you. Personally, I don't care. I grew up on 6th and 7th generation cassettes of Minor Threat, so I really don't give a fuck about the sound quality. But nonetheless, this does sound amazing. And the cool thing about it is that if memory serves, it comes with a playbill. Yeah, there it is. There it is there. And this was a really nice touch. It's really setting up the old school vibe here. It's great because it has all of the lyrics included so that if you were in the audience during the performance, you could follow along. But then again, I would argue back that you don't really need this because the songs are easily understood. We're not exactly talking about fucking thrash here. But nonetheless, the playbill was a very nice touch. They also released a series of other merchandise. The girl I was dating at the time when this was released, she bought the satin jacket that technically had nothing to do with the episode, but I think it was Mondo. Was it Mondo? Yes, it was Mondo. They released this sort of 1980s era satin jacket that used to see all the VJs on MTV wearing back in the 80s. And I'm going to see if I can very quickly... I did. Haha. That worked. I thought that was going to fight me. But yeah, so anyways, this episode, I remember everybody in the world discussing this episode when it aired because, TV shows doing musicals up until that point, it was more or less unheard of. I know that Seventh Heaven would either do one after this. I can't remember when Seventh Heaven ended. Either did it before this or after it, but it's Seventh Heaven, so, I like the first handful of seasons from that show because it's so morally self-righteous, and I just love how the Camdens think they're better than everybody. But the musical episode of Seventh Heaven happened later on, and the music, the songs, the style didn't really connect. And by then, like I said, I'd lost interest in the show anyways. But this was perfect. I have listened to this countless times. I've watched the episode millions of times. It's incredibly fun. It's done in the traditional musical sense. Well, except for Spike's song, Rest in Peace. But it's got that sort of big Broadway show quality, which I would usually hate. But it's Buffy, so I felt really fortunate that I liked it. I was concerned when this was going to air because me and musicals, we don't usually get along very well. And then so when it started and with the opening with the piano, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure how this is going to go. And I love the piano, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't really lining up for me. And then, every single night, the same arrangement, I go ahead and fight the fight. And I was in love. And every song, was a complete fucking knockout. And it was killer. I think on here, though, I think my favorite's probably Spike's song, Rest in Peace, because I absolutely love Spike, and I've wanted to be Spike for a number of years, and that's not going to happen because he doesn't exist, and I do. But nonetheless, Rest in Peace is probably my favorite song, but I've got a theory. It was really fun, too, because it could be witches, some evil witches, which is ridiculous because witches, they were persecuted, wicked, good, and loved the earth and women power, and Xander will be over here. I should probably stop quoting the lyrics now. It's not cool. I will, but I love this. This is so much fun. And like I said, the CD was awesome. They put a number of other cues on the CD that were from other episodes, like Hush was on there. So when I lost that, I was really... Well, I didn't even realize that I lost it initially, but then when I found out that it was gone and she had since moved away for school, I was like, fuck. But this was re-released, or released on vinyl. I guess not really re-released. This was released for the first time on vinyl a couple of years back from Mondo, and they did a stellar job with it. The artwork's amazing. The sound quality's impeccable. The songs are just as much fun. I will say the other cues from Hush and whatnot are missing, and that's a bit of a loss, but then at the same time, this is more of a complete package of just the episode's music, so it maybe works better. The one thing I will say, though, there's an episode later on where Anya goes back to being a vengeance demon. I believe it's in, I can't remember if it's, I think that's season 7, and it's showing her transition throughout the centuries as she became a vengeance demon and what's happened to her and everything she did and how she started working for Hoffman, and then it cuts to an unused music cue from the musical episode when the demon was forcing everyone to sing and Once More with Feeling, and I really like that song where she's going to be his missus. I'm talking about her, talking about Xander, and I really love that song. And unfortunately, I was hoping that if they were ever to re-release the CD, whether it was in CD form or on cassette or on vinyl, that song would be included, but unfortunately it wasn't. So that kind of sucked, but there's not much you can do now. Everything's said and done with, so whenever I want to hear that song, I just put the episode on and listen to it that way. I've considered like pulling the audio off of it, but then it kind of takes away from watching the episode, because I know that if I turn it into an MP3, I'll over listen to it and I'll never be able to hear it again when I'm rewatching Buffy, which I tend to do a lot because I love Buffy. So I'll just leave it in the episode. There's actually been a few songs throughout Buffy's run that I really liked. The song that Giles sings in the Dream episode, when Buffy dreams of the first, when he's on stage and he's telling Xander and Willow to look through the Chronicles for some reference to a warrior beast. And, I thought that was really catchy too. And it was cut short by the dream continuing and everybody falling deeper and deeper into their nightmare. But nonetheless, I really liked that song too. So I really felt that Joss Whedon, as well as Anthony Stewart Head, they really kind of had something together as a songwriting duo. And as I understand it, that's how the musical episode sort of began, was him and Giles were just kind of hanging out, messing around with the piano, and these songs started to develop. I think I read that somewhere a ways back. But nonetheless, holy fuck, this has been going for almost 10 minutes. So I'm going to go. So thank you so much for sitting with me for this incredibly long video where I discussed the score from the episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once More with Feeling. If you get the chance and you can find this somewhere, pick it up. Even though I know this and the CD are a little scarce at this point. The CD is like 20 years old. And the vinyl is probably long sold out. I doubt Mondo has it anymore. But then again, I never checked, so maybe they do. But yeah, so thank you so much for sitting with me. Don't forget to do something nice for someone. And if you can, hit like and subscribe, because it really helps YouTube let people know that they care about this. And I really appreciate that. So have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button, because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.